Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and you are going to love my guest today because we've got a lot of really cool things to talk about that totally pertains to just about all of us. So that's exciting. But before we get into the interview, I want to just say, if you're here at the podcast, the Heal Your Hunger Show, for the first time, welcome. So glad you're here. This is where we talk about everything and anything that has to do with women who struggle with food and weight. Okay. So this is not the weight loss show. This is not the, get control of your food and exercise 4 hours a day so you can control your weight show. This is the let's deal with the real stuff, the real issues that have to do with why we use food for comfort, why we turn to food when we're stressed, what's going on there, how do we get under that, and how do we heal it? So that's why we talk about so many different things that have nothing to do with food. And that is this show today included. So glad you're here. And guess what? We actually record this live in the Secret Sauce group. So if you've not joined us yet for the Secret Sauce group on Facebook, go there, sign in, type in the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating on Facebook, and boom, we'll let you in and you'll be there and able to watch these shows live. So, and the nice thing about that is that you can ask questions and you can, comment, and we'll be in there as soon as we can to comment and answer your questions. So it's just a great place to hang out. And hey, don't you want to be a part of something that's all about dealing with the underlying causes so you can finally break free from emotional eating for good? That's what we do in the Secret Sauce group. You'll be the first to know about anything we have coming up, super cool things that we're doing that can help you and help you on your journey of healing. So welcome, glad you're here, and definitely check us out in the Secret Sauce group. And also, very shortly, we're going to be starting our next Quit Sugar Challenge. And so that's coming up soon. And you can get on the waiting list to be notified about that by going to quitsugarchallenge.com, quitsugarchallenge.com. Get on the waiting list and you'll be the first to know when we actually open registration for the next one. So, hey, just be as clean and as healthy as you can be with us here at Heal Your Hunger. So on with the show. And guess what? I have a super cool guest here today that I want to introduce to you. And we're going to have an incredible conversation today. So let me just tell you a little bit about her first. Okay. So let me just pull it up here. Dr. Roseann is a mental health trailblazer, and she's the founder of the Global Institute of Children's Mental Health, and she's a media expert who is changing the way we view and treat children's mental health. Her work has helped thousands reverse the most challenging conditions: ADHD, anxiety, mood, Lyme, and pandas using proven holistic therapies. She's also featured on dozens of media outlets like Fox, CBS, NBC, Forbes, Parents, and New York Times. But more than all of that and all of her credentials, she is an extraordinary human being, and I just absolutely adore her, and I'm so happy to have her here. So Dr. Roseann, welcome.
Well, thank you for that intro. I'm so excited to be here because whenever I'm around you, I always feel lighter and happier, and you just bring such a positive spirit and energy into the world. So I admire your work. We get to hang out and do things together, and it's like, I love seeing you. So
I love seeing you too. It's so great to have you as a friend. You are a powerhouse. So yeah. So gosh, this is such a good topic for, emotional eaters, because we do tend to skew kind of high on the social anxiety, scale. And yeah. I know this is even true for me, even though I seem all outgoing and bubbly, I have an introverted part of me. I'm kind of like straight down the line of introvert and extrovert. And, I work from home. I'm on Zoom all the time. I was before the pandemic, and post-pandemic. And so anytime I go out, I'm starting to see or even the idea of getting back into regular life now that we're pulling the masks off, now that we're starting to get back into the swing of restaurants and going out to dinner, having friends over, all this kind of thing. there's a little bit of anxiety about getting back, things getting back to normal. So can we just jump right in? And I really want to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, let's just talk about the uncomfortableness of change, right?
Yes.
So we've been doing something for months and months and months, which is purposely isolating ourselves for most people, their underlying reason why is to be safe, right? And everyone can feel differently about it, but we're living in a place where we've been, for 15 months or how many months it is that we've been told it's unsafe. We need to mask up. We need to socially distance. And now it's like, well, guess what? You can go to Trader Joe's now without your mask, right? And it's like, what? I mean, 3 days ago, you were saying something different. It's totally weird.
Yeah.
I went to my first kind of like small gathering. I live in the Northeast, and we were really, really, really hit hard, just like where you were, Tricia, in California. And things really were shut down. And, I was so excited, but, I also didn't expect almost like a nervousness to come along when I was seeing my only friends that we've actually seen during this whole pandemic, but I hadn't seen them in a while. And it was a weird feeling. And I got to watch my teenage son who has mental health issues and PANS, and he didn't take off his mask for the first 2 hours. And I was like, that's okay. You can do what you feel is best for yourself. And eventually he took it off, and, and I said, listen, everybody here has either been vaccinated or had COVID. So we're okay. You know what I mean? And he needed to have his own entry. And I was like, is there anything I can do to help you with, with that? Right. I'm his mom. I have to check in with him. But I think we have to validate our feelings and almost be prepared for sort of that feeling, Tricia, when you first are taking off in an airplane, and every time you take off, you're like, I don't know about you, I'm a Reformed Catholic, so I'm still Christian. I do the sign of the cross and thank and make sure that I get Archangel Michael on the airplane with me to protect me. And it's that momentary, oh my God, I'm in an airplane and we're going to be going hundreds of miles an hour, right?
Hey, me too. Right? Prayer works. That's what I know.
Prayer works, whatever religion or belief system it has. So it's sort of, we need to prepare for uncomfortableness is really what I'm telling people. And, the question becomes, how do we do that? Right? So expect some level of your body telling you might be anxious, right? So what is that going to look like? You might get cold and clammy. You might get hot and sweaty. Your stomach may feel a little funny. You might notice tension somewhere in your body. I know when I walked into my friend's house, I was like, should I hug you? And she was like, absolutely. I was like, okay, and I was like, here, it was just, your body's going to let you know what you should be feeling. And I think the thing that we do, right, and so many people that are in this group, what do we do when we're uncomfortable? What do we tell people in America in particular? Ignore it, shove it down, right? And what I always say is your body's going to let that come out in a way you don't want, right? It's going to come out in you being crabby and nasty, maybe to a stranger, maybe to your boss, maybe it's emotional eating, maybe it's avoidant behavior. It's going to show up. Yeah. So take a minute and process it. And experience it. But I think, whatever people are feeling, whether they're just like, I was so excited to be getting out and doing things, maybe you're not sure. Maybe you really do have this reentry anxiety where it's interfering with you reentering the world. That's something different that we can unpack. But I think everybody needs to be prepared for a mix of emotions.
Yeah. And it's like, you're so excited that finally, like, we take a deep breath. Finally, we're moving through this. We're getting to the other side of it. That's so amazing. But there is like, like you're saying, like, how do you deal with the social situations? Like, is everybody going to be okay hugging? Is everybody going to have their mask off? Are you going to be okay around people who have vaccinated? I mean, it's a whole lot of different stuff, and I just think that, like what you're saying, recognizing that there is this, that there are emotions, that they are mixed emotions, it's okay. Like, it's just okay. I think we've all been through this. It's been scary. It's been hard. It's been uncomfortable. It's been massive change in our life, our lives and lifestyles. And obviously,
and so isolating. I think the thing
yes,
that has been the hardest is the isolation.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Like I desperately miss some of my peeps that we were able to see each other only under travel conditions.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So, and because my closest friends in the world actually don't live near me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's such a odd time in the world. And I think that the thing that we saw, and I talked about in the early part of the pandemic, was reentry panic, right? So it was like shut down. Like people weren't leaving their houses on the extreme, right? And then what we saw is people were so panicked and anxiety ridden. I saw an uptick then of anxiety, depression, OCD. We still have those same upticks, but in a different way. And people were too panicked to re-enter the world. And now I'm not seeing as much of a panic, but we are seeing this anxiety, right? Like all of these things, like just like you said, what do I do? I'm going to a picnic. Are people going to hug me? Or I'm not comfortable with that. Like what I said then was it's about communication, right? Now people are wearing things like bracelets, different colors, like red, don't hug me.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. People are wearing bracelets like red, don't hug me, yellow, I'm comfortable getting close, and green is heck yeah, give me a hug.
Is that right? I mean? Where do they get these bracelets? That's
I don't know.
wild.
I think people are just buying those rubber
things.
We should sell a make a packet, Tricia. We should be like the reentry anxiety, get it together packet, right? But ultimately, why do most conflicts happen? Because this has been a source of conflict. Your opinions about masks, your opinions about everything.
Yeah.
Amongst friends, amongst families. Like I didn't even see that coming. Like I was like, why is everybody so like up in arms about this?
What do you think that's about? Like, it's been I've heard friends say, I've actually lost girlfriends over this. I'm not getting vaccinated, and I've had girlfriends like ghost me or shut me out because of it. It's like, why such harsh reactions?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's one thing. I think we're coming from a place in our society of hate and not love.
Yeah.
Right. We've moved to intolerance.
Yeah.
The greater our conversations have been, I feel like the less acceptance we have of people. So I think that's part of it. Right. Yeah. And I think people, the disconnectedness has brewed and stewed this, people feel comfortable with sort of hate speech and saying what's on their mind without a thoughtful piece about it.
And it's very fear driven too. I think we all have a higher, because of the pandemic, we have a higher level of fear, and that causes more harshness.
Exactly. So then we have people, our level of anxiety and depression, OCD, we have a lot of people walking around with clinical issues. So their ignite point is like this. So there's a lot of, people are stressed and they're more likely. And then, ultimately I think it's about fear and loss of control. I think there's some people that, they feel like that's what I can control, and I can't have people in my life for that. I mean, I just don't understand people that don't, tolerate things, I mean, if you don't want to have somebody over who's not vaccinated, that's your business.
Sure.
But you can't have a conversation or connect with them. I don't really get that.
I don't get that. That's not how we roll, Roseann.
Yeah, that's not how we roll. And just the anger people have had, people initially had so much anger about their kids wearing masks. Let me tell you, these kids, they took to it like a fish to water. Yeah. It was like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to be around other kids. Yeah. Right. And then that quickly died down. So, that's another point of people even being afraid to re-enter the world. Maybe they're not vaccinated. Maybe they are vaccinated and they don't want to be with other people. Ultimately, all relationships are about communication, right? Yeah. And so you can't have a good relationship unless you've got clear, respectful communication. Yeah. And so if you have a concern, you just say, hey, listen, Aunt Betty, I love you to pieces, but you're having your weekly poker, meeting with your friends, And, I can't come over because your friends are really afraid of people who are unvaccinated and I'm not. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll see you on the side, or I'll meet you at the park or whatever. Come up with a positive solution that's filled with love. And, if you're really, really angry about something, you don't have to always share your opinion.
Yeah.
How about
Amen.
that?
Amen. Yeah. Let's just, yeah.
If it ain't nice, don't say it.
Love and tolerance.
Yeah. So
I
lots of igniters, Tricia.
Yeah.
Fueling some of this stuff. And you have to think about, you can only control yourself.
Yeah.
And you can only control your own thoughts and beliefs, right?
Yep.
So if you feel very activated by this situation, step back and look at what can I do to lessen my own worry and own stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the healthiest, best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I want to get back to the topic of isolation because this is, obviously so many people have been alone and been isolated during the pandemic, but then, and for emotional eaters, it's not a good thing. Like we need connection, we need community. Thank God we have Zoom, praise God for Zoom,
praise God for Zoom. I know.
It has connected us, my clients, we meet on Zoom. It just, there's actually an intimacy you can have on Zoom because you're looking right at people,
Absolutely.
And it's sweet. But it's funny because isolation is kind of our enemy, right? Like it makes us feel alone and isolated and lonely, and like we don't have a friend in the world. But at the same time, it kind of hooks us to where then we're sort of phobic about being with people. Like just and I'm not even talking about the pandemic. It's just sort of, we get used to aloneness. We get used to our routine, and like that, we have a lot of control when we're at home, and we can eat at home. We can make our own meals, and everything is a controlled environment and structured environment for us. But then going out in the world creates a sense of lack of control because we don't really, we don't know how you're going to get the foods that you need. You don't know how, who you're going to run into. And then you have to deal with social stuff. Like you have to be social again, and that's, that's hard. Like it's hard just being social, and afraid of being judged for how you're looking. If you gained weight during the pandemic, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that gets kicked up from just the fact that we're getting back into the swing and interacting with people.
And, here's the thing, it doesn't matter what age person I'm dealing with. There's something called anticipatory anxiety, right? Sometimes our anticipation and worries and negative thoughts about what's actually going to happen is 1,000 times worse than what we actually do.
Yes.
So and that isolation just fuels it, right?
Yeah.
Like you get on the worry train is what I like to call.
Yes.
Right. And you're like, I'm going to get off this worry train and I don't know what to do. And what I've been talking a lot about, and I teach this to everybody of all ages, I teach this to businesses, is I talk about a 4-step process to crushing your anxiety, and it's called the REPS protocol.
Oh, let's hear about it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Really common sense, but I like to package things and it just makes sense. And everyone, no matter the word that I'm hearing more than anything is overwhelmed, Tricia. Mm-hmm. Overwhelmed, right? So I hear isolation, but I'm hearing a lot of overwhelms, especially from my moms.
Okay.
Because, they've been short order cook.
Yeah.
They've been the punching bag. They've been working from home trying. Then they're homeschooling their kids.
Oh my gosh. It's been so hard for parents.
So hard.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how they're homeschooling. Like I know people with 4 kids, Tricia.
I know.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how. I mean,
I'm just sending you the biggest amount of love. And I just want you to just put an award next to you. I'm sending you a diamond bracelet. I'm sending you everything because that is unbelievable. Like it is unbelievable. So, I just feel like, wow, they should have like a purple heart, they survived this,
Yep.
And so when I really thought about like, what are things that we all can do? And that's what the REPS protocol is about. And I'm going to actually bring it back to people who are stuck in reentry anxiety.
Okay.
So really simplistically, this is something that everybody should do every day. And it really changes our nervous system. So anybody who knows me knows that I talk all about the brain. And so when we are hyper stress activated, which means you're in a sympathetic dominant state, you don't really have good frontal lobe control. You're not going to think clearly. You're not going to be able to take action in the same way. So let's change that by regulating our nervous system. And then we really can take action in a way that's easier, because it's going to be easier. Yeah. So it all starts with R, which is respirate. It all starts with breath. So as soon as we lose control of our breath, we feel more anxious, we feel more unrooted, we feel disconnected, and that's when we run into trouble, right? So we have to regulate our breath. I'm a huge fan of a 4-7-8 breath. You can do any kind of breath you want. Just do it, and do it at least 3 times in a row, three times a day. 3 rounds, 3 times a day. And a 4-7-8 breath is in for 4 seconds, hold for 7, out for 8. And what is that going to do for you? Automatically puts you into a parasympathetic state. Now, unless you're regularly practicing it, your body's not going to be able to stay in there. So why do we start with that? Again, you want to get connected to your body. You want to get control of your stress level.
Will you say that one more time?
Why do we want to do it?
No, how many breaths?
4-7-8 breaths. So you're breathing in for 4, and you're going to do what's called a diaphragmatic or a belly breath. You're going to fill your belly up. You're going to breathe, hold for 7 and out for 8. You're going to do it 3 times in a row.
Okay.
3 times a day.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Great.
So you can do it more than that. You want to do it 20 times a day. Holy moly, you're going to be stress inoculated. Okay.
That's what I call it. This is so good.
Okay. So super important. I could do a whole thing on breath work because it's really the basis of getting our nervous system. It's free and anybody can do it. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. It's just like prayer.
It's like prayer. Just do it, So prayer will be in number 4. We'll do my 4th step. But and then the second part in reps is E, envision, right? You have to see success. You have to see it happening. You see yourself on that train and that train crashing, it's going to crash. Jesus, right?
Yeah.
If you're like, I'm going home and I'm going to eat that damn bag of chips, what's going to happen? You're going to eat the damn bag of chips, right? If you're like, I'm going home, I'm going to have some hummus, I'm going to have this, I'm going to get into my group, I'm going to get some support. That's what's going to happen. And the second part goes with envision, and that's P, positivity. Okay. You've got to say positive things. Your brain will know no different between what's real and imagined. If you tell it bad things, your brain is going to believe it. Yes. I mean, it's going to believe it. And if anybody's ever heard me speak, I use the same analogy of sports. You're never going to get an athlete who's going to go up to bat or, the kicker in a game. I know Jack about sports, other than I like to attend because it's fun. Yeah. So he doesn't go up to bat and say, I'm going to suck. He's like, I'm getting this out of the park.
That's right.
Right. And that's our brain. What's much more likely to happen? Success. Yeah. So if you are feeling stuck, if you are worried about going to this picnic, like I'm using the picnic, situation because this is what we're all going to be facing in the next few months, right? If you're worried about it, right, you've got to regulate your nervous system. You have to see yourself being successful, and then you have to say it. Now, what does that look like for you? That's you. Maybe you're so stuck that the first things you need to do is just still get out of your house. There are still people that are not going out. And you're not going to be able to overcome that hurdle if you don't put micro steps. Don't make your first attempt a family wedding. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to have a panic attack. Yeah. Right? Or you might not even make it there. So make it the park. Make it your sidewalk pub that has, your neighborhood pub that has a sidewalk table. Whatever it is, but you have to start somewhere. And the other part of our culture, Tricia, we always put ourselves like on the top, like, I'm only going to be happy when I lose 50 pounds. Well, why aren't you celebrating a quarter of a pound?
Yeah. I love that. Or nothing, all or not. Most leaders are great at all or nothing thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not 50, screw it.
Right, exactly. A quarter pound is a stick of butter, people.
Yeah.
Hello, you know what I mean? Like, you have to change your mindset, because again, we have to be kind to our mind. We have to tell it, we have to feed it, we have to cultivate it. If we tell it crappy things, then your subconscious, which is in control 95% or more of the time, is going to take over. And then the S in reps is stress management. So you're going to pick something and you're going to do it every day, people. Tricia and we do something every day, probably multiple times a day. I know I do. And
meditation, prayer, reading spiritual literature, writing, walking, talking. These are all my self-care secrets.
A little biofeedback, maybe really doing some deeper breath work for longer periods of times. Just so many things. I do something called PEMF, pulse electromagnetic frequency, and it's just easy, but I'm like a junkie and I run myself, all the time, multiple times in a day. I do breath work. I always incorporate gratitude language. I'm always like telling people that I'm grateful for things, and that just fills me up. And I do a lot of prayer. I do intentful prayer, sometimes with my son who goes to school, and we have a long drive before we get in the car. And that is so critical. And the part that people see that as an obstacle is, one, they see it as a luxury, and two, they see it as taking too much time, right? So I'm here to tell you, it only takes 10 minutes a day is the minimum amount you need to keep your nervous system regulated. A
small price to pay for being grounded and having emotional stability. Hello.
And what happens when you have emotional stability in your nervous system is I like to say stress inoculated. You actually don't experience stress in the same way, because your nervous system, instead of being here and a stressor happens and you're like, screw that, I'm going to flip out on somebody. I'm going to go sit in my room. I'm going to have 3 Haagen-Dazs, whatever it is, right? Your nervous system has some wiggle room, and it's like, oh, I can get stressed out. Okay, what resources do I have? What can I do to regulate myself? And it can come back down. And that's the benefit of doing that. Plus, you're more focused. You're going to be a better partner, mother, friend, employee. Life is a little easier when you take care of yourself. It just is.
Yeah. Amen. I love it. And you're singing my song, girl. Yeah. I love it so much. It's so important. We have to do whatever we can to lessen our stress, because stress leads to stress eating all the time, forever.
And stress is everywhere, Tricia. I mean, we're in a very, very stressful time. I do have to say that, this is my 30th year in mental health. I have never seen people more stressed than I have now.
Wow.
Okay. That doesn't have to be you, right? Yeah. So it's about using your resources, right? We all have a treadmill. If you use it as a hanging station for your clothes, doesn't really serve its purpose. Right? We all have breath, but if we let it take control of us and we start chest breathing, we're not optimizing our brain and body. We're not taking advantage of things. So 10 minutes a day, I don't care if you've got 10 kids, no kids, whatever you got, make the time, put it on your schedule. It's the domino effect of this is incalculable. I mean, it's going to show up in so many nice ways.
So true. And get support. Don't try to do it alone, because it's so much easier. It's so much easier to stay positive when you're around positive people, and when when people are poking holes, in your negative thinking, and you're awfulizing about the terrible things that might happen. So get support. It's so important to not do this alone. It's, we together, a problem shared is a problem cut in half. So
you know what I love about that, Tricia, is that some of the people that are listening or watching us, they may have grown up with negative people. Right. And they are just in an awakening period that when you put yourself around positive people, like it's infectious.
Yeah.
And it makes the load so much easier that we all carry when we carry it together, when we lift each other. And so it really is. Oh, I love when people find how amazing it is to be around positive people, because instead of always getting on the worry train, you don't get on. And it just is a different way, and you just start shifting, because really it's about those small changes that you learn how to talk and think positively. It's an evolutionary process. And if you're in a community, it just makes it easier. Like, wow, I never even thought about that. Like, I didn't even know, when I tell myself in the car I'm going to have the bag of chips, how negative that is, right? And it, or whatever it is. I'm going to be crabby all day today. No,
and how much easier it is to not have the bag of chips when you're with a community of women who are not also having the bag of chips. It makes it so much easier. So that's why we're recording this. That's why we have the secret sauce group. That's why, we invite you to be a part of that, and to comment for those who are watching right now in the secret sauce group. Please be sure to comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say and what you're doing for overcoming reentry anxiety post-pandemic. So Dr. Roseann, these are all amazing tips. I love your reps. I'm so on board with that. And I'm going to start trying that breathing too. I just love that. I think that can really help, in stressful times. So I love you. I love all that you do for so many people and people, moms who are struggling with kids who are struggling with mental health issues. And you are just such a breath of fresh air, and you have so much to offer, people for really lessening anxiety, because it's tough, it's tough. And we can feel so alone with it, and like we're the only ones, but we're not. This is a problem that so many people are facing. You're not alone. And
I feel like everybody is feeling stressed and anxious right now. Like this is a time where I've seen people talk more openly about their mental health, which I love. So, but you've got to take action, right? And it can be small actions instead of feeling overwhelmed. So I love that we're having this conversation, because people are going to benefit from it. And, and it's going to help people, we all are there, and, you just got to take some little pieces to reduce those overwhelms, and it's going to, you are going to benefit.
Totally. And I want to just reiterate, taking that 10 minutes or whatever time it is, you deserve it. So many women are like, it's selfish of me to take time when I've got all these mouths to feed and, spouse to take care of. And no. You must put your oxygen mask on first, to use a very apt, example. You have to, take care of you first, and you'll have so much more time and space and just, mind space to be able to take care of other people. So the best thing you can do for other people as a mom, as a wife, as a coworker, the best thing you can do is to take care of yourself. Take that 10 minutes, take that, walk, take that time to breathe and to meditate and write and do anything that you need to do for yourself, because everybody will benefit more when you do it. And I don't think
100%. And I have this this vision, this dream. I have a dream that if we all took 10 minutes and everybody was happier, you could go out and everybody would be like, how you doing, Trish? What's going on?
Right.
Would just be so damn happy. It would just be, and it would be awesome. It'd be like utopia, so we just get to be better people when our stress levels are down, and you don't have to feel bad about it. It's your nervous system. So think about it from a science perspective. Get your nervous system, as I like to say, calm your nervous system the heck down. Right. And when we do that, we're able to take actions differently. So, hopefully people can, do these steps. They're not that hard. You just got to do them. And I validate if it feels hard for you, start with breath. Start there.
I love it. So thank you so much for this, Dr. Rowe. This has been absolutely amazing. Great tips. I so appreciate you. And I also just want to mention that Dr. Roseann works with kids and families with remote neurofeedback. And she has a program called Get Unstuck. And Raising Successful Kids. She has a Raising Successful Kids community, which are resources for parents to improve their children's symptoms and develop grit and resilience. So I just really want to make sure to mention that, because you do amazing things for families. and kids. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
You
Roseann?
can find me Dr. Roseann anywhere. So it's DRROSEANN.com. And then you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Cool.
It's Dr. Roseann.
She is. She's everywhere. I know it. So
Facebook, it's Dr. Roseann Kapana Hodge, because somebody else had Dr. Roseann. I didn't start social until later.
Well, you made up for it, darling. You really made up for it. So, she's been like on every media outlet on the planet. So we're going to put that also in the show notes so people can go to the podcast on the website as well. So this has been amazing. I have one final question for you. This being the Heal Your Hunger show, I like to ask my guests, what is your deepest hunger?
Well, my deepest hunger is I really want to change the way we view and treat mental health. I mean, that's just my whole mission. That's what I'm working for. That's, and what I do every day, because I really do believe that everybody can get their mental health can improve. And, there's just so many awesome things they just don't know about. And that's why I'm out here talking about it. So I want people to feel hope in a time when they don't feel hopeful.
Well, you're doing it well, sweetie. You're shouting it from the rooftops and making an impact. So thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to see you. I absolutely adore you.
Adore you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and please rate the show, share this show, let people know about it. You can find it on iTunes and Stitcher and other places. We do record this from the Secret Sauce group. For those watching in the Secret Sauce group, please make sure to comment. We'd love to keep the conversation going. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. So thank you. And thanks, Dr. Ro. Love you, sweetie.
Bye, everybody. Love you too.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.